Cover story, Albita, Much More Than Music by Jose Forteza. For chemists, albita is a kind of mineral made up of silica, aluminum, and sodium, one of the plagioclase series. In some classical African traditions, it represents an indomitable demon, while for others it is the Spanish diminutive of dawn. But for those who love nightlife, music, and beauty, Albita is a unique performer who defies labels, a solid businesswoman, and arguably one of the most international of the Cuban women in today's world music scene. Albita is the daughter of two of the most important cultivators of Cuban country music. She grew up in a household where music and artists were a part of the extended family. When she first stood on a stage at a very young age, her audience knew there was a new generation ready to change the outlook of Cuban music. To son, trova tradicional, traditional songs, and guajira, Cuban folk music, she was a refreshing breeze that fused these rhythms with elements of rock, jazz, pop, and the most influential international sounds. The son is the root of most of the genres of Cuban music that sprang up in the 20th century. It is also the heart of the salsa movement that originated in 1970s New York. Some of the greatest proponents of this music include Celia Cruz, Benny Moré, and Oscar de Leon. For Albita, son is the engine that fuels her creativity. But when she decided to respectfully experiment with it, she faced powerful obstacles from the political and cultural establishment in a totalitarian regime who refused to open the doors to a younger, more rebellious generation. Having her own band in a country where everything is controlled and owned by the state meant an all-out war. Albita persevered and continued to nurture the excellent composer she had inside as the essential complement to one of the most peculiar and authentic voices ever known. When it seemed as if Cuba could not escape the onslaught of protest songs and propaganda music, there appeared Habrá Música Guajira, There Will Be Country Music. Recorded in 1988, the album featured 10 original tracks, which previewed the road Albita's career would take from then on. From this album, the single Parranda, Laúd y Son, Spree, Lute and Son, broke the record of permanence on musical top 10 charts in several Latin American countries and was recorded by other artists. But just when the young performer was beginning to make a space for herself and her music, everything came to a stop. At the most intense point of her album promotion, an accident took her to the neurosurgery room. It was at this moment that Cuban authorities realized Albita's popularity. Her fans kept a vigil at the gardens of the hospital where she was being treated in Havana. She was the people's artist. At the beginning of the 1990s, there was a significant change in Albita's career and life. In 1991, she traveled to Colombia to fulfill a recording contract. From that time came productions like Si se da la siembra, If the Sowing is Good, and Cantaré, I Will Sing. On these tracks, she is still working to rescue the traditional Cuban country repertoire that was being neglected by her generation, while including her own original songs. Traveling to Colombia is the first important decision Albita, the businesswoman, made. More than her success as a singer or her blossoming maturity as a composer, her time in Colombia helped set the stage for the big jump to the United States. In 1993, motivated by political reasons, she decided to immigrate to the United States and settle down in Miami. There were the days when she sang in unknown restaurants and art galleries for free, just to bring her music to the people of Miami. Her performances at a small place in Little Havana caught the attention of the press, and celebrities like Quincy Jones, Madonna, Paco de Lucia, Richard Avedon, Angelica Houston, Oprah Winfrey, Rosie O'Donnell, Liza Minnelli, and Gianni Versace became instant fans. This is also how Emilio Estefan recruited her for his label Crescent Moon. In 1995, Epic released Albita's first U.S. production, No Se Parece a Nada, Unlike Anything Else. Sales surpassed 100,000 copies, and the album took Albita to the most diverse stages around the world. Her music, said the Los Angeles Times, is a complete package of vocal skills, poetry, and extraordinary performance. The New York Times highlighted that the song of Punto Guajiro, Cuban folk style, in No Se Parece a Nada, smoothly combines rock, jazz, and the most traditional folkloric elements in a steamy sauce to a conga rhythm that explodes on impact. Paper described the singer as part Benny Moré, part Marlene Dietrich. In September 1996, Dicen Que, They Say That, was released. Most of the songs on this album were recorded live, without sequencer or high technology, and many of the tracks were achieved in a single take. This speaks volumes of Albita, the producer. She stands for the criteria that music should prevail over technology, aware of giving the public quality and authenticity of sound in her recordings. Producer and businesswoman. Albita contributed to the soundtracks of movies like The Specialist and Dance With Me, and she also starred in the musical The Mambo Kings. But today, Albita puts her strength in showing her business potential by founding and managing her own record company. Free from ties or compromises, the businesswoman, artist, producer released her song Albita Llegó. The results speak for themselves. What she did not achieve with her previous records under major labels and solid distributors, she achieved in 2004, the first product completely on her own. A Grammy Award to the Best Tropical Music Album, a Grammy to Albita as producer, and a nomination to the Billboard Awards. With the conviction of someone who is confident of the way she has handled her life, Albita talks to us about the city where she lives.
Miami is young and has very peculiar characteristics. It is an international, cosmopolitan city, and little by little it is becoming a better place for the arts and entertainment in general.
Never say I can't. Albita is a living example that, with effort and perseverance, success in business and art can go hand in hand.
I began to take care of the business side of my career when fate and life demanded it. You make decisions along the way, and without noticing it, you end up handling a lot of responsibilities, from investments in real estate to a record label, advertising, and show productions.
And she advises,
you can never say I can't. You must try everything, although I admit that some of the time I have to dedicate to making art is being diverted into other activities. I also understand when things get on their course, I will be able to delegate responsibilities to others.
The businesswoman confesses,
I'm interested in working with other artists, especially on concert and record productions.
When referring to the diversification of her companies, she says,
at first, real estate was an unknown world to me, but now I'm fascinated by it, and it absorbs a great deal of my time.
And it is a fact. Her investments in Miami Beach, the Florida Keys, and Coral Gables demonstrate Albita's good intuition and dedication to the real estate business, showcasing a portfolio that includes properties that have increased their value considerably. After just taking the first steps in the industry, she expects to continue seeing her assets multiply. She never stops making music either. This year she will tour Europe, South America, and will present a special concert with Cachao in Mexico.
This is something really beautiful for me. I'm really proud of these projects.
Her next production, Albita Live, was recorded recently at the Colony Theater in Miami Beach, a compilation of her greatest hits and new songs from those who cannot live without the energy of her live concerts. On a warm night this past July, Albita joined Paquito de Rivera to introduce the Marquez sisters in one of the most memorable concerts the city has seen in years. The octogenarian Marquez sisters, legendary exponents of traditional Cuban music, came out of semi-retirement to give Miami an unforgettable night which brought together 3 generations of musical talent.
I belong to a generation that was denied part of its musical history. When I work with artists from other generations, I know that no one will ever take away from us what has always been our history,
the singer said after the concert. Albita is much more than a chemical element. She is the casual and perfect balance between musical talent, creative awareness, and entrepreneurial strength living inside a successful woman. She is the spirit, the soul of an island full of music, color, feeling, and, in spite of so many things, the eternal desire to live.